All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 157. Good motherfucking Lord of Conservatish. My name is Peter Feliciano. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you rate it, review it, leave a comment, share it with your friends and family, and especially with your liberal friends, and the white ones especially. And also you can find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. You can find me on TikTok at Conservatish. You can find me on Twitter and Facebook, and also you can support this podcast on my music at patreon.com/conservatish. And last plug, I swear, until we get to the episode, last plug is that my album is now officially, by the time this comes out, this comes out Thursday, so my album will be 1 year old. Yay! And I'm gonna put a couple clips at the beginning of this episode. Go stream the whole album. It's just called Peter Feliciano. And I'm
Make sure, please do it.
Yes, sir. I'm very happy to have Isaiah back for the third time. Yay!
Number three.
Yes, sir.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back. Most people, to make it easier, just call me Aibis, and it's good to be back, man. Lots happened since the last time we were on, right?
Yeah.
Whole world changed, someone could say.
Yeah, some certainly could. I remember I think it was last time you made me, or you let me have some of the potatoes you made.
Yes, sir.
I still remember, dude. That's a really,
good. Right? It was good, man. I'm eating good, man. It's during the corona, like everybody else, you put on a little weight, man. Everybody ate heavy, and I'm back to work now, and
nice.
Everybody's good, and I hope everybody's been well with you and all your viewers as well, because I know some people have had some things. So everybody, good health.
Yeah. Did you see the thing? I don't know if you follow Mike Harlow on social media. The walkaway, the little skinny gay kid.
Yeah, I follow him. I have the actual I follow the walkaway campaign on YouTube. I might not get the social media updates.
Yeah, he and Brandon Straka and another guy were walking down and got chased by a bunch of Black Lives Matter supporters in Dallas.
Well, it's kicked up now, hasn't it? It's actually gotten to that point. Before it used to just be something you say, like you get attacked for being this or that or wearing this or that, and now it's became a reality. So all we can do is sit and watch where it goes from here, because not too much action has been taken on the ground, right? I think we could all agree on that one.
You mean as far as apparently Trump's been rounding up a bunch of the Antifa, like the generals, if you will.
They have generals. Oh, wow.
I don't know. Let's call them what they really are: the grand wizards.
The grand wizards, the agitators, the sovereigns, the anarchists. We could throw out a bunch of words, but it's
cunts.
It's actually, I think it's a lot of groups have now mixed, because it's so much chaos that now people are just taking advantage of. You don't know what's really what, and that creates this whole kind of situation where it's a boiling pot now, officially, I think, right?
But I was thinking about it yesterday. The mobs always, one of the things all mobs have in common is that they think that they have good intentions.
Yeah.
Every single mob is righteous until afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. And even probably 2 hours beforehand, they wouldn't, some of them I'm sure wouldn't even think that they would do some of the violent things that they do. And then in the thick of the mob, it takes over.
Yeah. It's the trend of their whole ideology through and through, right? We will accomplish our goal by any means necessary, and it's to help you. We're gonna help you. This is for you. This is for the people. It's for you guys. If you don't try and say I'm not helping you, I'll scream at you to help you, because remember, we've seen a couple of clips like that, right? We've seen a couple of those clips now, like now you're telling me You know, and like as you posted earlier, the numbers are starting to shift on what's really what, and then it's gonna be an interesting year, right?
Yeah.
I think something should have, but this is what happens when we didn't press down on the problem. I think we let too much gasoline get thrown on the fire. As soon as private property was destroyed, I think it should have been, oh no, right? We're putting the full force.
Which one are you talking about?
You can't even tell the beginning. I think from the beginning, just plain and simple, the beginning. I don't think it's bad for everybody that it got this out of hand, right? No, and for years to come, right?
I don't know about for years to come. I have a feeling that the shift in people's, especially Black people, to tell you the truth, the shift in people's focus, the shift in identity politics is going to make the more reasonable leftists calm down. I think it's going to make the more reasonable leftists who back in June were like, yeah, Black Lives Matter, I'm going to put a fucking black square up on my shit. I think the identity politics is going to eat itself, and it's going to make the reasonable leftists, the white ones at least, go, wait a second, why is Trump's approval rating among Blacks growing in incredible numbers? Because I've assumed, since I'm supposed to elevate Black voices, all of a sudden now 45% of the Black voices apparently is down with Trump. What is going on? It's going to make them scratch their heads. If it was still only 8%, like Trump's vote back in 2016, he only got 8% of the vote, Black vote, then they could go, oh, they're self-hating. But you can't say that over 50% of, or 45% of Black people are all self-hating.
But in that part of it, it wasn't really what I was targeting with that statement. When I say years to come, right, I actually think what you're talking about is going to follow that course, right? People are going to tend to, wake up, right? It's just how it's going to go. You can't go on a downward spiral to this point where you don't realize, like, people, and you see it, people are starting to realize, like, all right, this is bad, right? We're hurting ourselves. So that aspect of it is going to kind of go back to in a better direction. What I'm more worried about is how this leaves the other side left, because now the right side is armed now. We're ready to attack. We're strong now. So both sides are gonna still be warring, and nobody's really gonna be trying to solve problems. And we got some problems to solve, man. We did a toll with this one. Right.
You know what I'm thinking? Maybe part of the way for me I think for me, and obviously a lot of it depends on November 3rd, but for me, part of the way I've been helping is with my podcast and with my stuff. But
Absolutely.
maybe especially after the election, depending on which way it goes, maybe that's when I should have more liberals on. You know what I mean?
That's the big time. That's the time to really engage, and let's sit down and talk some ideas. Ideas is what's fueling all of this for years now. So it's time to actually get somewhere, and there's too much opportunity right now. Right, we're heading into something special. Right, look at what we're doing right now. We're sitting on this Zoom call. Things are changing. Everybody knows that the way we're living is shifting into something new, right? The question is, are we going to do it the best way possible, or are we going to go into it rough, right? With all this animosity. So I think after November, like you said, things are gonna calm down a little bit, and then we could talk some sense to some people.
Yeah. Especially if it really is the trend, and who knows, polls are polls. But if it really is 45% of the Black vote is down for Trump, that's going to make a lot of people scratch their head. And
done.
Yeah, and but white support, I think, dropped 2 points. I think so.
It's probably just because the reaction to the riots haven't stopped yet, right?
Yeah,
that's all it is. They want the old school kind of way of handling this riot situation. the police announce, look, this is getting crazy. The cops have ordered to shoot to kill. You got to go inside. And, you know, people can feel how they want to feel about that, but it worked. It kept people safe.
What can you explain what you mean? What do you mean cops were ordered to shoot?
Well, back in past riot situations, right? I believe the guy's name was Commissioner Daley or Police Chief Daley, right? Back when there was, I don't know if it was the LA or maybe Chicago riots, right? They, what the answer to this type of destruction was, right? Once it got to that point where we're setting buildings on fire, we're attacking people who, you know, have nothing to do with any situation attached to even what's happening. People are getting hurt, people are dying. They said, look, you guys this is borderline anarchy, right? It never got so far as we're taking over streets, but it said, look, we're telling the officers that after a certain point in time, if people are agitating, if they're being violent, the officers have been given that, you know, that leeway that if someone is aggressing, they can respond. And the people reacted to that response, right? Because now what we have is people talking about the military getting involved. That's, come on, man. That's even we all know that's just hype, right? That's hype by the left. But even the fact that they can hype people up to that fear level, that's what they work off of. You know that. That's what they feed off of, that fear. They feed off of that.
And the thing is that, and I talk about this on the show, but like, one of the things I say is like, I would agree with their medicine if the diagnosis was correct, right? So exactly. I would agree that it's time to run in the streets if blacks were actually getting hunted.
Exactly.
Not just that 9 unarmed blacks were shot by cops last year, and many of those were violent first.
And then you do it in the opposite direction, and you say, and then when it's like the leading cause of death of young black males 16 to 24 is homicide, over vastly by other blacks of the same age group. So to say it's their diagnosis is the opposite. It's not even just wrong, it's the opposite. And what they're trying to do in the name of the opposite is, you can't, like I said, the opposition to that, the left is going to get what they want, right? That little minority group of whatever you want to call them, right? That label white supremacists that they throw out so much, not even just them, just those groups who just are going to have a strong reaction to this type of thing, regardless of what group it is, that they're going to get heightened. And once they're able to put two sides with their swords out against each other, it's gonna be mayhem. And that's when they really get to.
Okay, so you mean like legit ass white supremacists?
Like I said, not even just them, right? The groups of people, right, who have a strong reaction to this type of destruction being allowed, right? There are people that on the other side that gain from spreading the same type of fear of we have to start taking drastic measures in terms of giving the government more power. That's always what it results in, right? That's what I'm talking about overall. It has nothing to do with the social, that social stuff, just the real, what it leads to is the government has more power over everybody. And that's the real guy behind the curtain, or whatever analogy you want to say, right? That's the real enemy, right?
Right. Do you feel like, I don't know what that click is. Do you feel like there's because, you know, I've had a couple of people on, His Pioneers is one of them, who, you know, who can understand the pull towards Trump, but also feel like that idea that Trump is small government is a lie. And I don't want to put
but that's a blatant absolute lie. Yes, Trump is not a capitalist at all.
So you think that Trump is actually more of a not as much of a small government person?
Trump is a statist, is what the word I'd use. He is not at all free trade, free market, small government. He's increased government. Like 2-3 weeks ago, 4 executive orders that were quite heavily in the step towards Medicare for all. There's tariffs. These things are not good. His interventions into certain markets, industries, his handling of the FDA with COVID. It's a lot of things. But to anyone who's calling him small government doesn't know what capitalism means or what small government implies. To be honest, but that's not saying that that's their fault, right? Most people don't, and that's the problem, right? And that's why I was about to recommend something, but
are you?
Go ahead.
Obviously, I think we've had conversations where you're much more, and I'm certainly that way too. I think you're a lot more.
I'll use the L word.
Libertarian? What?
Yeah, that's what you were about to say?
No, well, no. I mean, I would say I'm trying to focus the idea of just because I'm going to vote for Trump doesn't mean I think he's the perfect person or sent by God or whatever.
I might throw a wrench in your in that, because I've came to the persuasion that in light of what I advocate for, it would be best if Trump loses. And that sounds very wild. I know it's very unconventional, but
especially because we've had lots of conversations about
like this. To put it in one full statement, I'll say it like this: for the greater good of what is capitalism, I think what would be best is Trump loses. And why is because we need a Republican Party that is at the least not trying to increase the amount of government. And I think Trump's victory solidifies a right wing that has confirmed that we can be big government and still be us. We can still gain power and be big government. I don't want that to be their option. I want the Republican Party to have to move more towards capitalism, real capitalism. So that's
okay.
how.
But I would press you on that because I don't feel, as far as culture being upstream from politics, I don't feel like there's anything that would give me hope on the Biden-Kamala ticket that would say that capitalism would be benefited.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But I don't actually see any difference in policy-wise. Now, culture is an interesting factor, but I look at overall what's above both of these things and what encompasses both of them, and that's the philosophy behind it and behind these things. And that fight is the bigger fight. It's the fight overall. And like I said, the real thing needed is always, and we've always done better than this, better as when it's this situation, when it's something moving towards actual small government capitalism on the right, and the left just being the left, because they're going to be what they are no matter what. What really matters, for if you understand what capitalism is, if you understand what free trade is, if you understand what no taxes, which is what low taxes is right now the goal, but to reduce that burden of them in our lives. You can't rent control, you can't build stuff in your house without regulation, you can't work without regulation. It's everywhere in your life, and it's hard for people to see that sometimes. But I'm sure I always find a way to show people that it's affected their life some way. Right?
Sure. But what about, because I'm not as well versed on some of these things. What about the cuts in regulation that Trump has made?
He full statement to just say cutting regulations, which he did do, right? And adding more of an equal amount or near the same amount isn't really a big deal. And then when you add into that, increasing government spending to what is now, I think it's reached historical highs. Yeah, I think Obama was the first to break 1 trillion, and then Trump doubled or tripled that in government spending. If I'm not,
was any part of that in order to push forward the things that his base wanted?
there's no way, there's no actual good government policy that involves pushing forward by more spending. That's the opposite. Because quick summary, all in simple, government spending is just saying government spending your money. There is no government money. It all comes from the people. There's no such thing as the government making money. They have to take money for them to, so I don't think.
Okay. But which one?
So let me ask, are you a fan of the shutdown, for example?
You mean this one right now?
Yeah, the COVID shutdown. I know it's a controversial topic. I think it was necessary. Do you think we could have went out about it in a more objective manner, targeting the people that truly needed to be quarantined properly?
Oh, whoa. But that's two different questions. Do I think it could have been handled better?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do I think it should have been?
Should we have shut down the economy?
No, I don't think so.
So let me ask you what's even worse. Should we have shut down the economy and then spend, how much was the stimulus?
1,200, I think. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what you're talking about.
The big number. What was it? 3.6.
Oh, right. I think it was 3.5 or 3.6 trillion.
3.5, or it's 3.6 trillion. And they were still talking about more. That's a lot. And they're printing that. That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt bad.
Wasn't some of that, though, Democrats wanting more money? Wasn't some of that?
Everybody agreed because everybody got paid.
Okay.
Everybody agreed. Not one. There was 3 people that said no. One guy I remember was Thomas Massey, and he even had an interview where he was walking out of Congress saying they wanted it closed door meeting. They didn't want anybody to know whose name said what. And he said it himself. They didn't want people to know who was destroying the economy, because who said yes on that thing? Because that's heavy. You handed $1,200 to everybody. Some people got more than that. Right now, Trump the other day just made it so landlords can't kick people out and people don't have to pay rent. I think in all 50 states. That's not the role of government. That's
Agreed. Not. But I still would push back on that, because I believe that there's wins and losses when you want or need to win a culture war.
The culture war is a symptom of an overall way larger problem in our system, and that is the far reaches within our government has in our life, in our schools, in our business, in our pockets. There's a common joke, which isn't really that funny, among economists and most people, that you work for the government anywhere from 4 to 6 months each year. The other 6 months is for you. There's absolutely not one justifiable reason you could think of for that. There's no reason the government can do what you can't do, which is steal.
But what about, I don't understand, what about the fact that taxes were lowered over the last 4 years?
That is always the game. That's the trick. If you increase spending, what did you lower? Nothing. That's an accounting number game.
Hmm.
That's all it is. Oh, we lower taxes, but we increase regulations, which increase cost on you. So that takes away from the lower taxes that you got. And then we increased our spending. And then we had a coronavirus shutdown. That is,
Now, the answer to this question may be all of it, but what percentage of that spending do you feel personally was frivolous? Now, let me explain.
oh,
Frivolous in the lens of now. If you had your druthers, does it? Correct me if I'm wrong. If you had your druthers, we would
oh, no,
just fired.
it's because the solution was very simple. If you wanted to do the right thing, you cut back the regulation, right? FDA, you cut back the FDA who kept supplies from getting in sooner than they needed to be, way sooner, who stopped tests from happening, who right now are still stopping vaccines. Is over, I think 3 weeks ago is 12 vaccines that were already tested, already out of stage 2, into stage 3, which is they've already passed any significant health effects. They didn't implement right to try, which is if people wanted to try vaccines, even if you're dying, right? If you're dying and you say, I would like to try it, they won't let you. That's the FDA in your life. The FDA is the biggest murderer in America, and that's a fact. And if you wanted to do something to help people, you cut back on the regulations that have made this a problem in the first place. You saw businesses snap into action. Car companies were producing supplies needed for medical care, for coronavirus reactions. They were ready. Car company manufacturers were ready to produce kits and supplies. There's no reason to suck that much money out of the people's hands who are going to produce the solution. We are the producers of solutions. Government isn't. Government is a gun. There's a thing called political power and economic power. Economic power is trade and production.
Right.
Political power is a gun. The gun is supposed to be used properly and not arbitrarily, and it has a specific justified function. And in my view, that's only 3.
How, even if Trump is just another head of the same beast?
Not the same. They go at it a different angle, but it results in the same thing generally, which is overall government intervention increasing. And just for a concrete example, not short of 10 years ago, there's something called the Freedom Index, right? We were above the so-called socialist Nordic countries. We fell below them. So technically, even though they're not capitalist, they're not a capitalist country, they're more capitalistic than us. And it shows why places like certain places handled the coronavirus a little bit better. And with a mixture of the strategies they use, we could have handled that better. We could have not taken from our people who are going to produce to get us out of this hole. So
Now, at the same time, are any of those governments, because I know there's obviously other factors, but were any of those governments who, quote unquote, handled it better, did any of them do a large, maybe not trillion, but percentagely commensurate?
of course, a stimulus?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, who would pass up on that political move? All the other countries did it. That's crazy. Why would you not?
Right. Okay. So it wasn't. So you're not saying that other countries would have
handled it better in terms of what they allowed what their markets allowed for, right? So their markets were more free, less regulated. So they were allowed to, for example, we took longer to get ventilators, right? Because of regulations that made it so they had to take an extra stop. They had to get made in America instead of South America. So they cost more and they took longer. And this was the same with certain other supplies. And Again, the FDA's long list of, and the CDC was a mess as well. These organizations,
Right.
they create crises for them to step in and solve.
Okay. Okay. And obviously, I also had Kevin McGarry on my show a couple of episodes ago, last week, talking about hydroxychloroquine and how that could have been handled better. And
Mm-hmm.
there's tons of factors.
FDA have their hands in that too. Yeah.
But I still, maybe not head of the same beast. They go about it different ways. I get what you're saying. But I still don't think that, say we handed the keys to Biden and Kamala, that they're going to go, okay, sweet, lower regulations.
No. If you think that's what I'm saying, not even close in a little bit.
Okay.
It's all the same thing. As I said before, when we're talking about the big show, we're talking about what matters here, what's important, right? The ideas matter. What's pushing the parties matter. When the Republican Party is going more in a actual small government and they actually act on it way, right? And they even when they actually talk like small government people, Trump, if you pay attention, Trump does not talk small government, right?
Okay.
They talk like small government people. That is far better than them realizing that doing the opposite is the better way, is what I'm saying. So how can I put it? The left wing of the right now is winning, right? And I want at least the right wing of the right. I want them in the fight. But if the right wing of the right can't beat the left, then now we're really done, in my opinion.
But
right?
isn't the way,
capitalism. My opinion is capitalism.
Right.
Really.
But so you're saying the way to engage the right of the right is to have Trump lose again. There's to have Trump lose.
It is, if people, I always put it like this, if people like Tucker Carlson, for example, becomes the idea of someone running in 2024, that's bad, right? If Tucker Carlson looks like a good pick, if that's who the Republican Party likes to put in front, people like Tucker Carlson who follow his type of political ideology, where they slam the businessmen who produce, they want to regulate them, they want tariffs, they want government intervention, then yes, right? And even when it's people like Trump who go against what they even say he's for, like this gun control, his economic policies, there's a faction within the right that doesn't like his response, as I said, to the riots right now. It's not good in the long run. It's not good.
At the same, okay, but I'm going back. I'm still trying to get clarification, because you said it would be better for us all as a whole, in your view,
Absolutely.
for Trump to lose. So why
Yes.
do you think it would? Since your ideal is the right wing of the right, why would Trump lose?
Which is capitalism.
Okay, but why would Trump lose and get us?
It's put simply, Trump and his people and the people who win on his platform are anti-capitalism, put simply.
Okay.
Those people need to lose, and the rest of the right wing needs to know that's the losing strategy. Right now, that's the winning strategy, right? If that strategy keeps winning, the left is going to continue being the left. And all we have is government, 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 government. And what really matters gets thrown off to the wayside. And our lives get harder and harder.
Okay, so you're saying the better thing is to take 4 years of pain under Biden, Kamala.
I see no difference in the policies. I see no difference.
Okay.
Maybe in the rhetoric, but in the actual policies, he's implemented things that they would implement. If you look at his medical executive bills 3 weeks ago, they're exactly what Biden has in his plan. Exactly.
Okay.
That's.
But if because I still kind of feel that culture being downstream from politics, or whatever the fuck the phrase is.
What culture?
the culture of, here's what I mean. The culture of, I don't know. I kind of feel like I think in general we would survive for sure under Biden Kamala. I don't think.
Wait,
I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to move to Canada or whatever.
I'm curious. What would they do that's so bad? What can they
bolster identity politicians?
Identity politics gets bolstered by both sides. What does the right actually do to stop identity politics?
At the very least, put a red.
Mainstream right.
At the very least, here. Okay. Versions.
Do they talk about Thomas Sowell? Do they talk about Walter Williams? Do they talk about the great economists doing the work to debunk? Do they talk about Heather McDonald? No, they do not.
I've not heard of most of those people. I love Thomas, though. I love Thomas.
Those are all the people that all those memes that get sent, all those posts about that with the numbers that debunk the lies that the left is telling. Those are who those people come from. And those are the people who they'll show the numbers, but they won't let them speak to give the full argument to really put this to rest. And they won't make that argument then. There's no reason that someone sitting in my house with a couple of books and a computer, can make the argument better than someone on TV why this is absolute nonsense.
Okay, but let me push you a little bit on that. How is it identity politics that they haven't decided to put Thomas Sowell?
Well, that's an example, right? That's an illustration of an overall problem. They're not really fighting the fight is what I'm illustrating there. They're not taking the honest try with the knowledge we know they have. It's not like he hasn't been on before. Obviously, the man is old, so I don't literally mean Thomas Sowell, right? But people who seriously protect and defend this line, the people that people get into on YouTube that inform people, the people that are economists doing the work in the schools that get pushed out of the schools, the ones that actually get banned, get told they're racist and this and that, those people who actually do the work in academia against the other 95% that's taken over by the left, they don't actually fight that hard fight. They don't want to actually win this. And they've shown it time and time again. And I know it's hard to see when I realize how social media works. It kind of gives you your side of it, sure, depending on what side you're on.
Sure.
Once you pull back out of it a little bit, it's.
But yeah. But how is that? Because I do kind of feel like, and again,
it's fight on the right.
Complicated. But here's what I mean. If there's, I have seen, because a lot of Black people are waking up, and because there is a lot more of the courting of the Black vote without just going, here, I'll choose a Black vice president like Biden's doing.
Do Black people vote for small government?
I have a feeling that they're doing more of that, or that they have.
They're not voting for small government. They're voting for Trump, or rather yet, they're voting. I won't even do him dirty like that for the Trump people who don't like that. Right? I'll say it like this: they're really just voting against the Democrats or the real racists. Right?
Right.
They're just getting into politics, right? They're just getting here. That's
okay. But how would 4 years under Biden, Kamala
be the difference?
But you said there would be a difference. You said that Trump.
No, I say they go about it different. Their policies aren't different, right? Their rhetoric, the points they try and hit is different. Like, Biden doesn't sit there saying we support the police, obviously.
Right.
Right. But they do pass crime bills.
Right.
They do support police, the government police unions. The game is very, very intertwined.
Right, but you did say it would be better. I'm trying to get clarification still on you did say it would be better for Trump to win. So what would be the difference then?
Wait,
You said
it better for him to lose.
Yeah. That it would be better for us if Trump loses.
I said there would be no difference.
Oh, I thought you said at the beginning.
Their policies
Right.
are the same.
Right. Then why did you say towards the beginning of the show that it would be better for all of us, for capitalism, maybe for the right or whatever you mean?
If Trump loses, yes.
Right. So why do you feel?
I didn't say that already? Because Trump represents anti-capitalism.
Right. But how would it be better for capitalism? Okay.
Trump is big government.
Okay, but Biden and Kamala aren't?
Oh, yes, they are.
Okay. So why would it be?
So I already explained that. So the right wing shouldn't, if there's no one who's even in the direction of small government on the left, and the only small government is on the right, and they're getting beat by the big government on the right, why wouldn't I want the small government on the right to win?
No, for sure. I agree. I'm understanding what you mean.
So anyone who actually genuinely wants anything better, even if you don't understand capitalism, whatever, if you actually want what's better, why wouldn't you want that? That's the goal. Why would I shoot myself in the foot to try and win a race?
Okay, that makes sense. But how would voting for Biden and Kamala not be shooting you in the foot?
What do you mean?
Well, what you're saying is
because it gives my side a chance.
Okay. So that's all right. So that's what I was trying to clarify.
Yeah. So again, the right wing, the Republican Party, right? The Republican Party. There's groups within the Republican Party. I'm sure you know about this. So the Libertarian, Tea Party, this Liberty Republicans. There's people like Ron Paul. There's people like all these other people, right? The more capitalist side, right? Even though I don't fully agree with Ron Paul's politics, the more Ron Paul people have to be the ones winning the right and in the front, the one that the right has to put in the front, right? The winning side, the winning argument for the right cannot be more government. It can't, or else that would literally mean, think about it, Peter, if we kept going that way, that means we'd never get to small government. So I don't know if you've made your mind up, if you've had the time to sit down and do the research, but have you made up your mind if you're small government or big government, or do you like getting taxed? When you finally get a house, do you want to have to go down to Bureau Hall to ask if you have to build a pool? When you want to renovate your kitchen, do you want to have to get permission from the municipal? Do you actually want to pay taxes for the trash service pickup? Why can't a private company provide that? There's a lot of questions that should be asked here.
Right, totally. And I'm on board with all that. So you're saying that it would be better for capitalism as a whole?
Yes, absolutely. Bar none.
If Biden, Kamala, since they're not going to do small government either, if they won,
let me explain it from the other perspective, right? If Trump loses to Biden and Kamala, as horrible as they are, right? That means that whatever he's advocating for, which I argue is big government, is a bad argument. So they have to flip it. It wouldn't make sense to say, well, let's try and argue for more big government. That means the right wing, that small government, actually has a chance to rise up. And this, I forgot to say this can be shown historically, right? Every time it's been the actual more capitalist side of the right wing fighting against the Democrats, even when the Democrats were the ones in office, right, and had the presidency, and they had the House, right, and we had the majority in the House, right, that's when we had the best economic growth in time, right? Now, I could go through all the economic data, but that's fucking boring and shit. But that's what it is. Larry Elder talks about it. Right, everybody talks about it. Any real honest right wing economist talks about it.
So just saying it would be best for us to suck it up. It would be best
to say, what's interesting
for 4 years, and then That way the keys to the right can be given to somebody more capitalistic.
Yeah, yeah. And what's interesting about this is the left and their economists are in touch with each other. The general population and their actual economists that would represent their side are completely out of touch. There's no such thing as a big government right-wing economist. There's no such thing as a Republican economist, right? They're either
Okay.
so like it's almost to say like the actual supporters of the Republicans and the economists are completely two different people. Whereas the left-wing economists are just as crazy as them. You should see some of the stuff Marxist economists say. They're absolutely insane, and they're in our colleges. They run our colleges. They're insane.
Right.
So yeah, like this isn't even really a controversial opinion. I think it's more confusing because most people don't follow. Like I said, the right wing doesn't actually follow their economists. They just go off of the right wing news, which has to be, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think the bigger push is actually not necessarily the economic policies, but more the culture.
Yeah, because that's where the left dragged them into. They dragged them into a shit flinging contest, right? And now both sides, now both people get to pander. They get to say Black Lives Matter. They get to make cultural points. They get to say, no, we're fighting for the Black people. No, we're fighting for the Black people. They get to say, we did HBCU funding. HBCU funding. Less than 10% of the Black community goes to HBCUs. So you gave HBCU funding in the name of showing that you support Black people to the already well-off upper crop of Black people. That's crazy, which is I know it's a common Trump supports Black talking point, but when you get into what it really is, that's what he did. And that increased government spending.
Okay. All right.
Opportunity zones is a ridiculous economic idea. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay. And what
the only real opportunity zone is to lower building restrictions, lower regulations on businesses, on contractors, on people who need to build. The only reason most expensive places to live are where? I'm sure you in your house search, you know, New York, California, and San Francisco. And you can trace it back to the date. They skyrocketed in a gap of 10 years. They boomed in 10 years, and they've been going up ever since the implementation of rent control and federal housing and the Bureau of this, Bureau of Education, this department. You guys realize that, like, people don't realize that our taxes have to pay for that building to get built, for that lady to walk in there and work 8 hours a day. We have to pay for all of that through taxes. That's for unnecessary things, for them to make up problems to make sure they have a government office. Thomas Sowell worked at the Labor Department. They didn't even want him to debunk. They didn't want him to expose minimum wage because it was over half of their revenue. Because if there is no minimum wage law, half of the reason they even exist doesn't exist. So they don't have a need for that place to sap up money. It's
okay. All right. I'm understanding what you're saying.
It's
I would like, though, if, and maybe this is because you are you're looking at it from a bird's eye view.
okay. It's the only view that matters.
Even though you are in shithole New Jersey.
Exactly. And there's places like this where you can see it.
Right.
And even here, you can see there's apartment buildings springing up as people flood out of New York. 5 apartment buildings in a span of a year, all within 2 miles of each other, springing up out of empty lots. Giant Walmarts springing up. There's people who want to build stuff. There's people who want to make jobs. The government isn't letting them.
All right. Now, we have a scale, the Isaiah scale. And on this side, we say fuck it, we'll let Trump lose so that the more capitalistic right wingers can win in 2024, right?
Yes.
Or at least in general, right?
That's always the option.
Okay, that's all. No, I'm not saying the option, but versus or not versus. In the other type of the side of the scale, you put in what's going to get fucked. you put in Black Lives Matter killing people more and more every year. There's no fucking way that if Biden wins, they're going to go, okay, we are cool. There's no fucking end.
And they're not going to stop if Trump wins.
I'm not saying.
They're just
gonna saying there's a chance. I'm saying there's a chance. Okay.
How come he didn't do it now then? He's had months.
Yeah, I think he is. Antifa motherfuckers are getting pulled up, snatched up on the street.
Yo, my man, the cops pulled back. Cops pulled back. When have you?
That's not Trump doing that. That's fucking the small government cocksuckers in Seattle and
so how come he didn't step up to protect the people? That's if there's one job they have, it's that. People's property got destroyed recklessly. Yo, do you understand the implications of saying the cat's out of the bag? We can riot uncontested. Uncontested, we can set up a fucking autonomous zone. That's like letting your child do the wildest thing, throw the craziest temper tantrum, and then you give them the barely any punishment at all. The punishment hasn't even came yet. Where's the punishment?
So you're saying that what Trump should have done is take it on the chin culture-wise in order to make sure that
absolutely. There's no bigger culture than protecting private property. There is no bigger culture than protecting lives. People's lives will be saved. Is that even a controversy? There's people dead. There's people dead and more dying right now, and they're gonna continue dying.
There's no way that Joe Biden would have.
Absolutely not. That's not the argument.
Okay.
That's not the argument.
Because if there's anybody more, I'm so sorry for being white, there's nobody but the left to do that. So if 4 more years of I'm sorry for being white.
In some way, shape, or fashion, they all kowtow to the I'm sorry for being white.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just because the left touches their ankles when they bend over and the right just kind of does like a little, it doesn't change that they're bowing over and you know where they're taking it. Now,
okay, all right, that's valid.
Man,
but I'm still not swung, and not that that's the job of us to have this conversation is to get each other on each other's side. But this is very interesting and it's good conversation. You're a smart motherfucker. But with the big ass dick that identity politics would get.
What would it do?
If Biden won?
What would it do?
Give the keys to more fucking Marxists. I mean, how would it not?
Biden's not a Marxist. Those people are mad at Biden. That doesn't give the keys to the Marxists. Again, same policies. This is the game that's been played. I'm sorry, I don't want to say it like this, right? But this is the game that's been played, right? That those are actual Marxists. Yeah. You guys, Marxists are not these people. These people are barely even democratic socialists. These are moderate Democrats. These are people who are essentially Republicans, right? Who just flip the line when it's necessary, right? Biden's history shows that. Kamala history shows that.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about.
So, but and the same goes for the right. So.
But I'm saying if we continue to say, you know what, Black Lives Matter, right? But if we continue to say, you know what, Black Lives Matter, you're right. I'm sorry for being white.
They're gonna continue. We gave that up. That fight's done.
I don't think it is. I think with the rise of black people going fuck Black Lives Matter, it's gonna make these white cunts calm the fuck down.
I don't know. Black Lives Matter isn't slowing down. Their cash flow has gotten bigger. They've built a bigger infrastructure, and you don't think they're getting ready to launch something major again for the election? Oh man, they have a plan. This is what they have a plan both ways. They know what they're doing both ways. The only thing that matters is who's fighting for us. Who is really fighting for us? It's the only thing that matters. Because they're going to do what they have to do anyway. They're in the colleges, my man. You think they're in the schools? They own the schools, the colleges. Do you think, has Trump actually said, let's privatize education?
Charter schools.
Charter schools, he barely got that off. How many states did that cover? Is that global? Is that national? Bro, I read the policies, my man. I read them.
Right.
The people I listen to, that's what they talk about. They don't get down in the fluff, right? So it's straight information. I'm telling you, it's all cookies and cream. That's all it is.
So you feel like so you don't mind the dick? You don't mind the liberal dick for 4 years, regardless of what it.
They're both the same thing, fundamentally. And once you get down to the ground, it's the same thing. Increase spending. Maybe increase spending on what? Maybe I'll give you increased spending on what? Okay. But Medicare for all, that's still happening. The Department of Education and the teachers union always going to get what they want. All the big government unions always going to get what they want. Big company bailouts, they're still getting what they want. Minimum wage, that's still happening. Has he lowered the minimum wage? That's still on track to go up. Minimum wage is destroying our economy, and it has for years. Each year, minimum wage laws cost us billions for no reason.
Who do you think would probably be more in danger of stopping our speech?
Neither.
You just say that because you're black.
Yeah, neither. Like nobody's gonna stop us.
That's that old Patrice joke.
Nobody's gonna be able to stop my speech, bro.
People have been fired. People have been fired for their skin color. People have been fired for their skin color.
Yeah, they can. What real advances have they made in really stopping free speech?
People have been fired for their skin color.
But who's doing that firing?
Democrats.
The government is firing people?
No, not the government. But if we say cultural, a cocksucking black bitch who ain't been fucked in a long time, you're right, good job.
God, maybe this isn't a take you're used to. There is no right to a job.
Okay, all right.
No right.
But it's still fucking wrong.
and those scumbags, and in those scumbags in a proper system, they don't do well. Obviously,
we're not in a proper system.
Yeah, we're in a worse one. Exactly. So they do worse, right? Those people do worse in this system.
So you're saying if we just suck the Black Lives Matter dick for 4 more years.
There is no difference between what the freedom of speech laws can be. All you're saying is then who would implement government intervention into the economy more. Because now we're going to start telling business owners who they can and can't fire. I mean, we already do that in the first place. But now you want to increase that power more. Think about that as a business owner.
I'm saying a Kamala Biden ticket would certainly add more restrictions on that. It would
Yeah,
bolster motherfuckers at the very least, culturally on Twitter or wherever. They would bolster motherfuckers who fire people for skin color or for what they say.
I
They
mean, they're gonna do that regardless. You're never gonna stop the massive media organization that's happening. That apparatus is way too strong. That's who bolsters it.
Okay, but there's also a win.
Personalities come and go. They're gonna find a new AOC. They're gonna find some new Bernie Sanders. So it doesn't matter. They're still gonna keep talking the same talk. So they're gonna keep bolstering.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. But at the same time,
what do you think is gonna get them to stop?
Well, here's what I'm saying. So like with Nick Sandman or motherfuckers like that, sure, culturally there has been blowback.
Yeah. I actually talk to people. People on the left don't even know who Nick Sandman is. Do you know that this is what is so crazy. The only thing that's really happening is the right is sharing about a victory that the left doesn't even fucking know about. They forgot all about the Nick Sandman thing. They have no fucking clue about that. So it's out of their world. They don't care.
Right.
It doesn't affect them one bit. We could go. They got how much race hoaxes? They got race hoaxes done in front of national television, my man. They have the George. I won't make any concrete comments, but the George Floyd cases is that each step of the case, each new video, all this stuff, more developments. You got another case, more developments. Now it seems like it's going in the opposite direction, where the cases are getting more and more like, okay, these seem like this guy was obviously doing something a little crazy, right? What was the other one the other day? The guy's literally, I don't know if it was that one, but I saw one the other day where it's literally the guy's running at the cop, just straight up, grabs the other cop, has another guy, and the guy, it's like a movie. He has to shoot a guy who's holding on to another cop by the neck, bro. And if people still go, he shouldn't have done that, and the Black Lives Matter movement is still pushing through that, bro, you're insane if you think they're gonna stop. They're not stopping for anything. This is what they do. This is what they've been trained to do. This is how their books have been written. I can show you. Their books have been written how to do this since the 1920s on exactly what they're doing, and they've only gotten better at agitating.
How I understand you're saying Biden, Kamala, and I'm on board with that.
It's not about Biden and Kamala. It's about the only thing that matters here is who is the right wing. That's what is the identity of the right wing.
Right.
That is what matters.
Right. But you're saying, to get clarification, you're saying if we give Biden and Kamala the power for the next 4 years, they're not going to bolster Black Lives Matter more than Trump would?
They don't bolster Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter bolsters themselves.
Unless they're starved culturally by money, which happens when black people
when have the Democrats actually given the black people who they race hustled for what they wanted?
Never. Okay.
What do you mean? Has the story ever been we got what we wanted after we supported them? That's our argument against it, that they never actually gave you what you wanted. What do you think? Biden and Kamala are going to change now? That they're going to actually give Black Lives Matter what they want? What? Biden can't even think straight.
You're saying, okay, so you're saying that the cultural or lack of talking about police or lack of talking about, hang on, let me finish what I'm saying. You're saying that what that is just give me the keys for the next 4 years. That's all it is. Because I think I understand that. I think that makes sense.
Both sides love the status quo. That's the simplest way to put it. They love the status quo. People think this fight is like this cataclysmic battle between people who are truly trying to wage some ultimate war to ultimately win. They don't want to actually fully defeat their enemy. There's times when it's very clear that they need their enemy. There's times where they have pushed each other's agenda, but they go against it. They actually have a word for it. I can't remember the word right now, but it's a political word for it, where they go against it. At first, they're against this policy or this bill. They fight it out, And then all that happens is by the time it comes around and everybody forgets about it, the other side who was against it puts it in place for that side, for the other side. It's a shell game, my man.
Okay.
And it's not that shell game type of conspiracy shit that people talk. No, you can see it. It's plain as day. There's the data, there's the facts. When you look at the bills that get passed, when you can literally see where the bills get started. There's very few bills that don't end at one party, end with a D and start with a R. Romney Care was Obamacare, right? Obamacare, Trump Care is no different than Obamacare.
Okay.
And so on and so forth.
All right.
Trump pushed gun control. Trump was supporting gun control for a while, right? Everybody knows that, right? Maybe he backed off of it a little bit when he realized, which is why I say again, when the argument is right, when the right is being pushed in the proper direction, the small government direction, that's when good things happen. And that's whether they're actually in power or not. Again, this is a fact. Most of our greatest economic success, especially in the past few decades, have been when it's actually been a Democrat president. But the actual Congress, right? That force that they had, that check and balance, when that was a actual small government Republican, right? That's when the check actually happens.
Why is Trump's been so good?
Trump's been so good where?
No, I'm saying economically.
Where?
Well, with the goddamn economy before the economy pre-COVID.
I told you his government spending was astronomical.
Okay. So you're saying it doesn't matter if the growth.
Yeah. Us being able to produce well is us being able to produce well. That's not Trump's economy. That's us producing.
Trump, so you're saying that
he didn't really step out of our way like he said he was going to. I mean, he didn't. And don't get it twisted. It isn't Obama's dealing either. That's the American business. So it's called the American business or the Austrian business cycle. That's American business doing what it does.
But was the American business, i.e., people like Elon Musk and motherfuckers like that, are they culturally helped by Trump being in office?
No, they're hindered.
Culturally?
Wait, culture? What is? Again, this.
I'm saying, are they given confidence and freedom to flex business muscle when?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they could speak up all the time. What do you want me to give them an award for? We've been cowards for 15 years. Where was Bill Gates when he lobbied $0 and gave out a free product, right? What happened when they brought him down to Washington and said, we will regulate the shit out of you if you don't lobby with us. Now they have a fucking giant, massive building in Washington and lobby billions of dollars. And I'm not saying they're evil for lobbying, right? In the situation, in the sense where they got regulated to shit, because that's most of all of them. You make your business, you get up to a certain point, and the government says, "Yo, either we'll make sure you can't compete with your competitors, or you come give us a little of the spread," right? But that doesn't excuse the cowardice in not speaking out about it, right? Not being an advocate for free markets. If there's any people who know what the government is, how deeply they're into our lives, it's the businessman, because they get fucked every day on a regular. And I'm sure you know, even from the sense of what I heard, minimum wage was fucking, even gig workers. Lyft is getting fucked in California now. Uber, they're about to exodus. They're about to leave. They were about to leave. Imagine kicking one of the most productive innovations in the past 5 years out of your city.
Right.
You're literally regressing. That's like during the invention of the car, they pushed the car out of the city. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Now, let me ask about this tangent. what do you think intention-wise California government is doing by things like that? Because Elon's getting the fuck out. Joe Rogan, a lot of people are leaving California. Say Uber and Lyft go fuck you and leave. Where
they'll cut a deal. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll cut a deal and they'll ease the tension a little bit. But is that the same as saying we want you out? Right? There's a funny joke I like to say. The American Revolution happened over 3% taxes. Bro, we get taxed like 40. They're actually considering, we actually have talks over 70, 90, and they threw a revolution over 3. All right? The Kool-Aid is being sipped way too hard out here. Way too hard. That's bugged out. How much more money would you have in your pocket, my man? Why does your apartment cost so damn much? Right. Why does it cost so much to live in the greatest city in the fucking world? But back when it was way less magnificent, it was still magnificent for its time, but when it was way less magnificent, more people could live there cheaper. When they do the numbers, it was cheaper to live in New York. So, and the culture was better. Again, and then I wanted to, because you kept bringing this point up, there is, again, this is all a derivative of philosophy. So to try and detach what's happening politically, and then putting culture somewhere in this special bubble, no. It's all the same thing, right?
What do you mean?
So trying to make it seem like the politics they can affect the culture by playing the tit for tat game instead of actually solving the problem in the politics and truly thus fixing what's happening with the culture and so on and so forth, then it doesn't matter, right? So saying we want to fight the culture war on A or B, but C is the real solution. Like I'm going with C, man.
Okay. But say in 2024, Republicans realize if Trump loses this year, Republicans realize, okay, this is not the strategy that's going to do it. Let's push for more capitalism.
Yeah, I think
why would they do that if they knew
capitalism's fault?
Okay, but why would they do that if they know that the end game of that is less money for them?
It's not less money for them.
That's what you said. Capitalism means less money, less bureaucracy, less.
It means less bureaucracy. It doesn't mean less money for politicians who properly do their job. That's more money for politicians who properly do their job.
I see. Okay.
What do you mean?
Right. So ultimately, politicians are going to realize.
There's no form of this where what's good overall is good for all included. I don't hinge my argument. I don't want to get into that's a philosophy. I don't hinge my argument on the consequences, but that is the fact of the matter. That what is actually good in all cases is good in all cases, right? Economically, culturally, politically, in the law, philosophically, in all these ways. In science, this all comes down into science, in schools, how we think, how we learn, and our sex lives, everything, bro.
Right. So politicians are going to be down to get the more capitalist rights into the game.
Look, we're always the driving force. The people and the ideas are always the driving force. But at the least, the ideas pushing the right can be in the right direction. Don't think there's any delusion here that there's any true capitalists in that group of people. But the ones that are more in that direction are definitely the better than the two. Easily. It's not even
saying, since there's none on the table now, fuck us for the next 4 years. That way.
This keep fuck us term is to me is garbage because there is no.
Okay. All right. Let me clarify what I've got to say.
If you think Trump hasn't fucked us, you're in delusion.
No. Hey, I'm not saying he hasn't. What I'm saying is, you're saying there's no good option now, but
there is a good option.
Well, no, you're saying you don't trust these cocksuckers on the left either. What you're saying, though,
It is a
give
good
these
option.
cocksuckers options so that
The right has to be making the right argument, and they have to be coming from the direction of the right argument. Right now,
they're not going to do that until 2024.
They're not. What do you mean? That starts immediately once they lose.
Right. Okay.
What are you talking about? That's
right.
4 years of ideas. That's 4 years of ideas arguing. Look at what happened in this 4 years.
Right.
This battle, it happens. This is what has to happen. Right. Or else we keep. What do you want? You want another 100 years of this battle? Right. Do you actually want to spend 40 years talking about capitalism, goods, socialism? Do you know how ridiculous it is that we have the best system in the history of the planet? That has undeniably, it shouldn't even be an argument, right? Undeniably has produced the most good, right? Has literally shot up the living standard of planet Earth, bar none. In 2030, we're moving towards less than 3% of the global population being in extreme poverty. We're actually having this conversation is ridiculous. And we want to prolong that. I don't want to prolong that, bro. The amount of shit we're missing out on. It's like I tell people, like Bill Burr tells a joke about, it's related to women, right? But he tells a joke about the guy who's still in the factory because that girlfriend he stayed with who fucking ruins his life, right? It's the same thing to me, like with the political system. We're sitting here, we don't know you'd have to write a science fiction novel to explain how much progress in all fields we're fucking. Our science has been fucked. Do you know what our science goes towards? Absolute garbage. If you saw the shit, go check out John Stossel. If you see the shit that they spend our money on to do science just to throw it away, they'll do stupid shit. Just like, this is an extreme example, but like they'll do a government study where we'll just go rub a balloon on 200 people's ass. Literally, it's stupid shit like that. We wanted to see the static of a balloon on people's ass, so we got the greatest government scientists to go rub 200 balloons on someone's ass. And you know how the system works, right? The colleges get grants for this. So the only way for our good scientists to make a career is to do the work for the stupid government shit instead of actually sitting there and coming up with shit like, I don't know, the next law of gravity. How do we get to space? Newton wasn't sitting there working for the government when he discovered the law of gravity. No genius was working for the government when they discovered what they discovered. There's a reason for that. We could have a deep philosophical discussion about it, but there's a reason for that. There's ideas that were held by a good amount of society that taken place, especially throughout the schools, throughout the people, and that's what matters. Same way.
Now, I'm wondering though, say they switch on November 4th, if Trump loses, say they switch to start going, fuck this, let's do small government so that we can get hired again.
And everybody should start reading about how to make the proper argument, how to beat the left.
Makes sense. Now, but if culture is still pulling the strings of both right and left.
Culture is not pulling the strings.
No, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying if that's the impetus, like you're saying, we're going to get these kids fighting with each other so that we can fuck them no matter who they vote in. If that's what's pulling these, how do we get those people to pay attention to finance?
Right argument.
Starting from November 4th, everybody needs to just right argument. Yeah.
They need to make the right argument. You need to sit down and learn what the right. So you got to start with the first question. Honestly, why do we need a government anyway? What is a government? Why do we need it? If we do need it, what is the system? Right? What is the proper system to let us produce and be free and be free from force, from other people intervening in our lives, especially from the government, because they're supposed to ban the force from our lives. They're not supposed to inflict it or give it sanction. And that's
just an interesting question. Are you one of those people who ideally would have private police or no police?
Absolutely not. And I debate those people vigorously.
Okay.
Now, there's a difference between saying you can have private security forces. Obviously, those are under what is the rule of law. They still have to work within the functions of the government, right? You don't make a private police force and then you get to, take the people you arrest and shoot them in the back of the head. That's a different question, but it seems like what you're getting at is, am I what's called a libertarian anarchist? No, and I'm not even a libertarian per se.
And I don't have any motive behind that. It's interesting.
No, it's a common question.
The homie, his Pioneers was on the show, and he's like really smart about this shit. And he was like, "Oh, read this book," and I started reading it, and I'm like, it's called The Rise of the Warrior Cop, and I'm like, fucking whatever.
What is that about? That sounds crazy.
It's some white cunt.
Rise of the Warrior.
It's this motherfucker who's talking about.
What was his point in telling you to read it?
Well, his idea is that he believes ideally we would have no police force. Not from the same way a leftist has been talking.
Yeah, this is an anarchist. He's probably read a lot of Murray Rothbard and a lot of these libertarian anarchists who don't have a justification for a government. Their solution is our mixed economy and our government doesn't work now, so let's scrap the whole thing. And I don't really have a good reason.
I'm not saying he's like that. Because he's certainly.
But I'm sorry if I'm getting it wrong about him. But this is usually
I would love to.
I've never met a person who says I want a private police force, but I still want government. So usually that means you're an anarchist.
Right. I'm not even. Yeah.
Maybe he calls himself an anarcho-capitalist, but I think that's a contradiction in terms.
Well, yeah, we'll have the rebuttal on the next time he's on. I would love to host a debate between you cocksuckers.
Yeah, I would love to debate somebody on here. That's what I do. That'd be interesting.
Let's start. Let's start wrapping up. Oh my God, have we been talking for?
Yeah, man. Me and you. There's a reason why I've been on this show a lot, man.
Yeah, because I'm a nice motherfucker. Because I allow motherfuckers who look like Kanye West circa 2002 onto my show.
You're a cool dude, bro. You're a cool dude.
You backpack motherfucker. So I did wanna, because you are a teensy bit, not during this conversation necessarily, but you definitely do dip your toe into some of the, what's the word I'm looking for? I forgot what the fuck it's called.
Everything. I did my toe into everything. Just what topic are you trying to get to?
Goddamn Marxists. You dip your toe into the conspiracy theory a bit, but I'm interested to know what type of shit. I'm interested to know what you really think at the base of the intention is communists. What do they think their intentions are?
Marxists and real Marxists and because you got to make a distinction. There's Marxists, there's socialists. It's a wide spectrum, but all of them, I'd say, are committed to the violation of individual rights, the destruction of private property and what that means, the destruction of individualism, the destruction of reason, which is man's main tool of survival, the ability to use your mind and produce, and they work off of a philosophy of self-sacrifice and selflessness, where they think it's proper to sacrifice some for a group of others, right? A group of others who they find valuable or who they feel like. In the Marxist case, it's the proletariat, and they want to kill the bourgeois, and they will sacrifice the bourgeoisie. Right. So Marx is a particularly evil man, and his teacher, a man named Immanuel Kant, is an even more real nasty character who set in motion all of this with his philosophy.
Okay, so it really is, even if the mechanisms that they set forth are evil, you think that the actual intention is evil. They think it is.
Some people. Actually, Marxists are more explicit about it, right? I think a lot of people are caught up in a lot of people are raised on this stuff, my man. Like I said, They planned, like they made it explicit. When communists were training communists, they made it explicit. You get into the schools, you get into the sciences, you run the infrastructure. They have no reason to be the businessmen. They're not the businessmen. They're actually not the working class. That's the big trick. They are the bourgeois. Marx himself was a rich, racist asshole who didn't even pay his coffee bills. And I can show you some quotes of him that are crazy. The man was a crazy rich guy. Yeah. Not rich guy, but he is well off due to inheritance. So he sat there and fake philosophized and economized his ass off. And yeah, and that's a representation. As again, politics is a branch of philosophy. It's all derivative, man. So it fits. And some people, especially the younger ones, I do a lot of debating against them. I've gotten a lot of people on capitalism and stuff, and yeah, they're just caught up in the whirlwind of bad ideas that get passed around every day.
Right. You don't even necessarily think that it's a ruling class. You don't think that it's a ruling class type of thing.
What do you mean rule? Like there's some elite?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a proper way to answer this. Because I want to, yes, but they're not what people think it is. I think even the conspiracy theorists, the left, the right, I think everybody really doesn't realize what they are and how big the group is, and they might be part of it. The elite isn't just this subgroup. The elite to me is a particular ideology being held, and it's an ideology where I know what's best for people, therefore I can, we want to do this into their life. I know the good. I want to destroy individuals. I want to make choices. I don't want people to make the choices for themselves. So, yeah, but is there like some big apparatus working at the top? I don't think they're as smart as people think. So, but there's groups out there, sure. There's groups out there, and they all variations of anti-capitalism, which is a rejection in essence of, it's not just a rejection of a political system, it's the rejection of the basis of man and what it means to be a man and survive and use your mind, right? We're nothing without this, right? We're nothing. We build cities, we build cars, we build to space with this, and that's what they're against. They're against letting you use that. And that's what it comes down to. And
yeah, that's much it. Yeah.
I mean, if you want more questions about Marxists and stuff, if you really want to know what they're about, but I don't think the Marxists, they're not really who we have to worry about. It's the little guys. It's more these confused socialist, Democrat, these kind of more lesser down people. It's a small minority. The Marxists aren't a big.
That's the thing I'm fucking saying. That's over and over. I'm always talking about white cunts who aren't getting fucking laid. That's who's gonna hold up. That's who's going.
That's holding us
that
back.
Black bitch who ain't been fucked in a long time went in through Rochester the other day to see shit in Rochester, New York.
What was that? Oh, with the
Black Lives Matter came in and descended essentially upon this group of, like, this restaurant that had people just sitting there eating, and they just knocked shit off the table. Party's over. We're just like, beyond the fact that the next step is violence. Their violence,
It's already beginning, man. I see it. I pre-see it, bro. I'm in the community, bro. I'm around, bro. I hear how people talk. I fight this shit. I'm missing my voice right now from standing outside the liquor store arguing with motherfuckers till 4 o'clock in the morning over shit like this, right? Because it's the tensions is getting hot, and again, these are all symptoms. I want to solve the real problem. People think we should solve this little squabble and then we'll take it. No, we got to solve the main problem. But I think Patrice was a big advocate of this. Like, you got to give the medicine straight. The medicine has to be straight. That's what I'm trying to do. It applies here. Coincidentally, fun fact, somebody put me on to this. The philosopher, the greatest defender of capitalism, coincidentally, is the only philosopher that was mentioned on the Patrice O'Neal show. and whose ideas on love, in fact, are very similar. And what it
Rand.
Ayn Rand, yes. And the book I talk about that everybody should read is Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal. And listen to that name, Unknown Ideal. People think they know what it is. They do not know. They do not know the argument for it, the justification, and how important it is.
Right.
And it matters. Vital.
And yet the motherfucker who said that, and I've been on the dude's show, he's a nice person, but fucking what's his face? Goddamn,
he's gotten soaked in. Is that what you're about to say?
Dante.
He's gotten soaked into it. You see how I seen a couple posts. He gotten soaked into it.
I'm not black. You have to. Yeah, he's got,
I'm assuming where you were going, like the movement a little bit, kind of he's gotten soaked into
Yeah, he's gotten so swept away in the emotions of being black.
And,
it's sad, man.
And and I thought I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I thought it was going to be on a, I don't want to say he's anti-intellectual, but I thought it was going to be on a more rational level. But he actually does. He says some of the more what people call memes. He says more than memes, like the typical stuff. He says the stuff you think he'd research enough to avoid. Like he'd say more complex things. Because I understand the person who just doesn't know, right? Not a lot of people have a stack of shit over there that's debunking a lot of this shit and informing you. But Dante, I thought he'd be one of those people who could get rid of the kind of, especially just little things like being affiliated with the Proud Boys. But I think that situation made him step away from that kind of right wing because he was being associated with the right wing MGTOW type of thing. He stepped away from it. So now he wanted to get away more. I don't know. I can't say if that's exactly.
I think, and listen, I think Dante's a smart, strong person. I don't think he was easily.
Someone just needs to sit there and have the argument with him. But he's a threat. He's a very intimidating dude. I think if somebody sits there and has the argument with him and reasons and he sees the evidence, I think he could come around.
Absolutely. But I think it's a part, what I'm saying is I think it's a part of it is, I think it's a part of it is you ain't black unless you're believing the shit that we're believing.
Oh, yeah, that's
Patrice used to talk about how that's bullshit and he's not afraid of no fucking nigga trying to tell him what to fucking believe.
This is, if I could sit here and give you a 2-hour lecture on how close to Patrice O'Neal Ayn Rand is, what she calls it's called collectivism. It's called the ideology, and she's vehemently against it. It's called collectivism. It's putting the group over the individual. And in her philosophy, that is among some of the most immoral things you can do. Because that's denying yourself. It's saying I'm living for this group. There is no group. There's just individuals, and you want to throw away your own mind to have some imaginary group mind, some hive mind, and we know where that leads. Usually, genocide, slaughter, whether you're the victim or the perpetrator, people who hold that type of mindset have always been the genocide, the slaughterers, and so on and so forth. Right?
Yeah. I gotta fucking shit. We gotta stop.
I feel you, brother. This has been a good one. I gotta come on sooner, man. I'm going by this now. It's easier for people to remember, and it's kind of my name on Instagram, so I want to make it easier to find me because I've been putting a lot of information on my page.
Well, then spell it. You've been changing it every fucking 5 minutes, you cocksucker.
Oh, shit. On Instagram, it's Mr. Mr.Aibis.
How would you just say it and not spell it? How would you think that of course you got to spell it.
It's Mr. Aibis. You on TikTok, bro? Well, maybe I'll talk to you about this after. You on TikTok?
Yeah.
All right, good.
I was telling.
I was going to tell you to fucking.
Oh, yeah. No. Watch this shit. So on TikTok, because it's not owned by America, I've gained almost 10,000 followers in 4 or 5 months, and my views average 1,000. Sometimes I have 1 or 2 that are 17,000, 18,000, and I have one that's 770,000, I believe.
Nice.
And yet, I've only had that for 4 or 5 months, and on Instagram that I've had since 2014, I average about 100 views.
Yeah, it's a way better platform, bro. Do you I'm sure you'll find more ideas to direct them to your YouTube channel. And the TikTok's good, bro. I started. I met a group of people, and we started. I got them into some stuff. They got me into some stuff, and I think we're at like 16,000 on TikTok now. We do a bunch of political debates, a whole bunch of stuff. So it's a good platform to get something going. And
yeah,
it's great. I was gonna come here and tell you, bro, you could kill it on fucking TikTok, and
look at this face. This face is a value. This is the money face.
Yeah, I see people on TikTok. I'm like, Peter's funnier than these people, and he's in. It's like they're knockoff yous. Like they're trying to get your essence, your type of personality, but they don't really have it.
Which is, listen, that's ultra capitalism right there. Is that even unfunny cunts can get some shit done on Instagram or on TikTok, but then that way I can stand on the shoulders of midgets and fucking slay everybody with a flamethrower. And that's what I'm doing.
That's how you do it. That's we call that creative destruction. It's beautiful. Those who are inefficient got to make way for the big dog, man. I predict right now, it's all gonna be on record. You're gonna be a big thing on TikTok. I can tell. You're gonna be a big thing, and I think it's gonna transfer into the YouTube content, especially when you're able to get out there and do your engaging content. It's gonna be big, bro.
It's that same thing. It's that same thing that in Discrimination and Disparities, the Thomas Sowell, where he starts talking about Kodak and how they were like, no, we'll just keep making film. And then they died in like 3 years.
You read exactly. You very nice, my guy. Very nice, my guy. See,
what's the next book though? What?
That little knowledge, it helps, right? It helps knowing these things, right? It puts it into perspective. And Thomas Sowell is. In economics, you have no idea how much of a blessing he is, because he's not only is he the guy who dispels a bunch of myths as a black man from a black man's perspective, literally among actual economists, he's quite distinctly in the right category. Like he's represents a proper economist, truly, huh?
What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do when he passes?
I actually think about that most days, to be honest with you, bro. That's when the fight is. It's like it's the same thing. There's been a lot of titans that have passed who've moved this movement far along. Thomas Sowell, we will remember him when capitalism finally gets here and it's done. I know that sounds kind of dogmatic, but people, when you understand what it is, people like Thomas Sowell is the people we'll want to have statues of. Seriously, because he's the amount of things he makes clarity for, the way he makes it simple, things digestible. It's incredible, and it is truly going to be a sad day, truly. And I hope by then he gets the recognition he deserves. I know they already keep him out of Black History museums. They keep him out of Black History events, but hopefully, it sounds kind of morbid, but at best, hopefully, when that time comes, somehow it boosts his recognition. That would truly be best for the world, honestly. Because for him to be forgotten, that's a dark hole. Truly, it's a dark hole.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Make sure everybody, wherever you're listening, make sure you subscribe and leave a review, rate it, share it with your motherfuckers. What else?
Always
Instagram.
Tune in.
Exactly. Every Monday, and actually this is coming out Thursday. I've done a few episodes these last few months where it's 2 episodes a week, you ungrateful fucks. Damn it. I've had to pee for like an hour. See what I do for you? I sacrifice for you.
This guy. No.
Grateful.
We'll talk about that next time. No, you don't. You don't sacrifice. You do this because no, you don't. You don't sacrifice. You do this because
would you let me make a joke, you fucker? Would you?
We're anti-sacrifice. No, you're too great for that, sir. This man isn't sacrifice. He's producing his value. He's offering you his value in trade for yours. That's it. And you guys appreciate it, as I do.
Capitalism.
Capitalism, baby.
I appreciate you, motherfucker. All right, everybody. Thank you so much again. I'll go ahead and turn it all off. Thank you.
All right, much love, everybody. Thank you.
All right.
All right, bro. That was.